In this video, I'll be giving some instruction for using the Highway Data Management Software, HDM, which is what we use to program and read the NC300, NC350, the Histars. On this computer, this laptop, I've got a start menu icon and an actual icon on the desktop for the HDM software, which I'll go ahead and open. And there it is, opened up. Now the next thing I want to show you is the program cable from Silicon Labs. I've got one here. It's got pins on it that match up with the pinholes on the Histar, and it is a USB interface, and you'll have to have the driver installed, the correct driver with no conflicts. Early versions of HDM, you had to designate the driver. And this one, I don't think you do. I think you can set it to search any and all ports. It's under Application, Communications. Use any port that has connected counter. But you wouldn't want to go into the field and have a conflict with that. Not have it in and use the same port each time if you get it work. You have to have the driver for that. Alright, so when you get this software opened up, on days that you're going to program, several things you can do here. Under Device, this is not where you'll go when you read these counters after picking them up. This is where you go when you're setting them. If you want to check the battery information, you can check it there. But when you hit Program Study, a program interface comes up where all of the information for your study is going to be entered, including the day. Current day will always come up by default, which is pretty good unless you're programming near midnight. You'll have to watch those sort of things if you're working at night. Your start time. All studies for IDOT here in Illinois for the Department of Transportation, those done with Histars, have to start on the top of an hour or even hour, so you'll never mess with the hours or minutes. This is set for a 24-hour study, one day, 60-minute intervals, which is what they want. If it was a 48-hour study, you'd select 2 days here. And the next thing I want to talk about are these bin settings down here. You have two different bin settings. You have speed bins, and that's how you want to separate the vehicles in your reports according to speed. And then you have length bins. And working for IDOT, those are preset. Now looking at this here, these are speed bins for Interstate. That's why you have these high speeds here. I use two sets of bins, and if you're working for IDOT, I can provide those to you. I have screen captures of what we use. To edit those, you just go over here and that comes up, and you'll want to make sure that all of these are right. This is not something that you have to do on a regular basis. I'll show you how that is basically saved. You can see that they were there already when I opened up. And length bins are for classifying vehicles, basically up to 23.9 feet. A passenger vehicle, light trucks, semis. There are no real, I guess a double truck, maybe something greater than 100 feet. That should just about always be 0 when you're reading your reports. But for low speed bins, what I've done is I just call them low speed bins and high speed bins. True Interstate, they require us to use high speed bins. So before I go program, up here under configuration, I can load either one of those and they'll enter automatically down there. I have them saved, or I change it and save it. I'm looking at Interstate speed bins already. There's the low speed bins. There are Interstate bins. So the bins are correct. For programming, you have all of these fields here, which also save when you save bin settings, when you save either low speed configuration or high speed configuration. But I've got only the state in there right now. So we're going to sort of pretend that I'm doing a study right here in the town I live in. It's Wyoming, just like the state, but that's the small city that I live in, and the county is Stark. Doing this with one hand. Illinois 17 is right out here in front of me. And now location number for IDOT, you would use a county code, and those are alphabetical. Stark County is county code 088, and we'll make up a location number, which is usually 4 characters, so we'll say it's 0111. Now, east and west roadway, west 1. When I program the second lane, it would be east 1 for eastbound. You start with the rightmost lane in the direction that you're facing. If it was a 5-lane street and it was one way going north, it would be N1, N2, N3, N4, and 5. Turn lanes are numbered the same way. We used to do it differently, but everything is just N1 or S1, E1, W1, indicating the direction. Lane 1 furthest to the right, going from the right over. So a 4-lane interstate east and west would be W1, W2, E1, E2. They do ask you to, if you know the speed limit, put the speed limit in. If not, leave it at 55. Here in front of my house, it's 45. This can be adjusted after the study. Sometimes I'm programming across an entire county, and I don't know the speed limit where I'm going to be working. So I'll make a note in my field sheet and just change that on the report the next day. The operator, I'm Joe Hamilton. So that means this is ready to go. It's set for a 24-hour study. Well, it's almost ready to go, except that the bins would be need to be low speed for this highway. But if I load those, I'm going to lose this information. I just wanted to demonstrate that. So what start time would I want? Well, right now it is 11:29. It's too late for me to start a noon study because I need to allow a minimum of a half hour for this counter to be in the roadway before it turns itself on. It will turn itself on, begin to sense its surroundings. There's rebar in the road, there's other interference, there's things that affect the magnetism, and it will sense and sort that out. The software is written for it to do that. So when the half hour rolls around, so right now it's 11:30, I need to start programming for 1 p.m. if I was truly putting this down there, and I would be ready to program the counter. So I'm going to close that. I'll go over reading these now. I'm not actually doing a study. It's the middle of the winter. I'm not getting in the road. But if I program that counter, plugging the cable into the pins, be careful with those pins. I mean, after some use, they're like anything metal. You can break them off. And these cables aren't, real cheap. So I put that counter in the roadway. I leave it. It comes on at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. tomorrow. Anytime after that, I can pick that counter up, and it's going to be ready to be read. So at that point, I would open up my HDM software again. But this time, I do not want to go to device. I can't just read it. Where am I going to read it to? I need a catalog. Now, you'll create one of those each week, or while you're working, and give it a name that you want to give it. Usually denoting the dates that you're working. There's some on this computer. It was another employee. His initials are MW. This is one of our older computers. I actually use a lot more information than that. Usually try and put the county numbers in. D7, that refers to District 7 within IDOT. As long as you know what you're looking at. But let's actually, let me close that, and we'll create a new database to read to. So you go under catalog, new, and there's all of his databases, which I could click on one to get sort of a naming format. But I usually start with something like D6, which is where I work. Now let's use a capital, District 6. And today's date is 1/28. I wouldn't be doing traffic studies this time of year normally, so I'll do 1/28/21. And let's just say I'm going to be doing just the 24-hour studies, not working any other additional days. And I would probably name that through the 29th of 21. And you can use these sort of symbols in here. County 88, which is Stark County. Let's do that again. The operator is Joe Hamilton. And I can save that. Now that database is saved and it's open. Whenever there's a database open, a catalog, it'll show it here. So let me close that. Actually, let's just close the software, because I could have created that at home, had it ready. So it's pickup day and I'm in the field, and I'm going to open up the HDM software because I need to read these counters. It'll open again. I've created that catalog. It's empty. There's nothing in it yet, so I don't want to go to new this time. I go to open, and my catalog, of course, is probably going to be way at the bottom, and I'm using the camera phone at the same time as I scroll. I'm not seeing. There it is. No, that's Mike. Hold on a second. It's right there on the bottom. It's the only one with my initials right there. Double click that. It's open. Now I do go to device. On the first day I use program study. Now I'm going to read study. It'll open up. Tell it what kind of a counter I'm going to read. Make sure it's plugged in. And I read the study from the counter, and it will then that study will be available right here on this side of the screen where I can click on it and create reports. Alright, so in this video I want to say just a little bit about the reports. We'll open up a catalog that one of my former employees who use this computer, that looks like a small catalog based on size, maybe just a couple studies. And I don't know if I got it double clicked. There we go. Yeah, it looks like 2 locations, the south and northbound lane, then a combined report that he would have created, north and south on this section as well on the combined report. But let's look at the combined report, both directions. I just double click that. It's going to open this up, and from here I can do all of the various reports. Now what I use for submittals to IDOT is a class volume report. Classification, that would be the length of the vehicles, and the total volume. And they'll have this information because they get this database, but what they want in a submittal from us are basically the 24-hour totals, even though they have 60-minute intervals. So I'll go to the second page, and that's where the 24-hour totals are. And then this section, it's not a real busy road. There were 1,195 vehicles, and it classified all of them, 100%, 1,195. Most of them are passenger vehicles, quite a few smaller trucks, maybe RVs, I don't know what that would break down into, and then just 8 probably long semi-trucks, that sort of thing. And there, you can do other reports, speed reports from here, things like that. But like I say, the class volume is basically what we use for submitting to the Department of Transportation here in Illinois.